Hi, and welcome to the Blessings Sun Cleric Guide for Ascension's Conquest of Azeroth server. Bit of a disclaimer that with how often they make changes on the server, it's likely that some information here will be outdated depending on when you are watching this. I'm making this video right after the recent big change to the spec, however, so I'll start off by listing the major changes first. So the biggest change they've done to the spec is that it hugely favors using Gavel of Light, as you can talent it to heal and give shields to 5 allies. In a sense, this is making Radiant Cascade redundant as it's healing much more, and if you need extra heal during its cooldown, your normal heals also heals up to 5 allies anyway with the talent Solar Flare. I do lose the previous talent Solar Priest that makes you cast an Illumination with Shine every 6 seconds, a very strong spot healing talent. Another change is that you regenerate a lot more mana now, so much so that you no longer need to use Gavel of Grace, and you'll very rarely need to change to Vow of Grace as well. Okay, so let's go through the basics. Blessings is very much like a Holy Paladin, expert at spot healing, with huge heals. The difference is, Blessings is able to do group healing very well as well. For healing, you have 3 basic spells. Illumination, a long-casting strong heal. Shine, a fast-casting but smaller heal. And Daybreak, an instant heal spell on a 10-second recharge with 2 charges. You also have Radiant Cascade, a multi-target heal that bounces to up to 5 allies. Bless healing 5% of maximum health on a target and generating 5% mana for you every 10 seconds. And we have other heals as well from talents and some special abilities, but I will go through them one by one. Next, we have our Vows and extra resources called Solar Power. Vows are our aura, and they give different benefits to our playstyle and help filling our extra resource. Vow of Radiance, your direct damage and healing spells will do 25% extra and generate 2 solar power. This is your main vow, and you want to be in this vow for most of the time. Vow of Light, direct damage and healing taken heals the nearest ally for 10% of the amount. This is usually used by tank, but it can be viable in raids where you are taking constant damage and healing from other healers, and this vow will give you passive heals based on that. Vow of Grace, damage and healing will regenerate 5% of your missing mana plus more. Pay attention to the wording though. It is only generating 5% of your missing mana and not 5% of your maximum mana. So the mana refund amount is very small when you are near to full mana. Besides that, you won't be experiencing a lot of mana problems with the newest updating anyway, so you won't be using this vow very often. Vow of Eclipse, damage and healing will put a damage over time or healing over time on the target, and this is mainly for the other damage specs and not very useful for healing. So with these vows, you will be generating solar power. Once we reach 20 stacks, we can unleash Dawn, empowering our vows, unlocking the fulfillment effects with each damage or heal expending a stack. It's so good to use when the extra bit of healing is required. We also have our solar invocation spells, all of them sharing the same cooldown. Solar Invocation, Resplendence, causing your Illumination, your slow casting heal, to be instant and guaranteed to critically strike, however costing double the mana. So this is your emergency cooldown whenever you feel like the group is taking a lot of damage and casting Illumination won't be fast enough, however you will be spending a lot of mana doing so. Solar Invocation, Ascension, a simple spell, healing all players. This is amazing in raid as this spell has no target cap. Solar Invocation, Revelation, rooting an enemy for 4 seconds or heal an ally for 10% max HP. Solar Invocation, Conquest, instantly generating 10 solar power and refunds 10% of your max mana. Good to use when you are low on solar power and need to use Dawn soon. Buff-wise, we have all the classic Paladin buffs. Devotion of Emperors, giving 12% stats. Devotion of Dawn, giving 278 attack power. Devotion of Radiance, giving 74 spell power. And Devotion of Grace, generating 39 mana every 5 seconds and reducing the cost for abilities by 6%. Other useful CDs include Chosen of the Light, a 50% damage reduction for 8 seconds. Circle of Valor, a talent that diverts 30% of damage your allies take to you and healing them a bit in the process. This is quite a dangerous spell for you to use in raid, as this spell will divert damage until you are 10% HP, meaning you can easily die from taking too much damage if ever there is a raid-wide damage happening. It is quite good for dungeons where usually only the tank is taking big damage. Judgment Day, an AoE stun that will break with damage, so quite useful as a group interrupt. Glare, hard stun for 5 seconds. Very useful in Mythic Plus. Paragon, increasing primary stat by 20% and armor by 5 times of your intellect. Radiance, an aura on yourself that will heal allies and damage enemies over time. Solar Invigoration. Your allies take 20% increased healing from you, and when they do damage, they will heal themselves with Illumination, occurring every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. This is quite a powerful raid healing spell. When healing 5 targets at a time doesn't cut it. However, its healing does not count towards you in the meters and counts as the individual allies healing. And finally, Sanctify. Your Dispel ability, which is one of the best in the game, as you can dispel almost all debuffs except bleeds and curses, meaning you can even dispel stuns, fear, and silences, making Blessings a really powerful healer in Mythic Plus. Onto the talents. This is mainly my Mythic Plus build, but the raid build is largely the same with a couple of switches. The ones in circle are optional talents you can choose. But let's go through the capstone talents on the right first. At level 10, you get Sunlight, fulfilling your vow, meaning damaging or healing when you have Dawn turned on will heal up to 5 allies with each spell. At 20, you get Sun Worship, increasing your healing power by 15% and your haste rating by 25% of your intellect. At 30, you have Holy Form, increasing healing done by 10% and reducing threat by 50%. And when you are above 30% mana, your heal will additionally heal your blessed target, turning your bless into literal beacon of light from WoW. At 40, you have an updated passive when Holy Form active, which it will be. Your Gavels are greatly empowered. Gavel of Light places an absorption shield on you for the same amount dealt. Gavel of Grace restores 10% of your maximum mana on top of its base amount. And Gavel of Wrath strikes 5 additional enemies, removing 1 beneficial magic effect from each of them. This new passive has changed the whole gameplay of the Blessing Sun Cleric, but I will go into more details in a bit. At level 50, you have the Redeemer. Your critical heals will have 30% of its amount stored on the target and heal them the next time they take damage. So, some important talents to point out. On the left side, you have Blessed Armor, increasing your spell power by 3 for every 125 armor you have. So, just for this talent alone, you want to wear a shield, as a shield with almost 3,000 armor is giving you 70 spell power just on the armor alone. There is an argument with whether using a 2-hand weapon could yield better for your Gavel of Light shields, but you will have to test it out. Hegemony is an interesting talent. When you enter Dawn, you gain Radiance for 6 seconds. I don't know if it is an exploit, but you can enter Dawn and leaving it by clicking it again. Gaining the Radiance effect and its own healing and damage will fill up your solar power again. And then you can repeat the cycle, meaning you can have Radiance uptime be 100%. However, the downside of using this trick is you will not be optimizing the use of your Dawn and not utilizing your level 10 passive Sunlight. Unbreakable Focus, reducing your Gavel's cooldown by 20%, so 4 seconds instead of 5. Nysoni's Blessing, when you have Dawn active, you gain 10% critical strike chance for 8 seconds. With the aforementioned trick, you can hop into Dawn every few seconds, meaning this 10% crit chance is basically permanent. Optionally, you can go with Warmth into Circle of Valor, the damage reduction spell we talked about. On the right side, I'm using Blessing of Absolution for Mythic Plus. When paired with Touch of Light talent, this spell will reduce your enemy's damage by 20% for 5 seconds on a 15-second cooldown. You can spec into Blessing of Retribution and Blessing of Purity for certain situations, giving the blessed ally immunity for 6 seconds. Heatwave is an extremely powerful talent, making your single target heals splash onto 5 extra allies. This makes Radiant Cascade kinda redundant, as it's healing way less than Illumination. Holy Night. This is the new talent that changes the whole gameplay. Your Gavel of Light additionally heals up to 5 nearby allies, as well as giving them a shield because of your level 40 passive. This will become your highest healing spell for majority of the fights. You can also choose Lead Me Not Astray, doubles the healing done and mana restored by Bless, and Empowered Holy Form, increasing your healing done by 20% up from 10%, as well as more mana regen. These two are good as an overall healing improvement and giving you so much mana that you can basically spam healing all fight long. But for me, I prefer Solar Invigoration, letting your allies the ability to heal themselves for 15 seconds. And Battle Cleric, reducing Paragon's cooldown to 1 minute, increasing your attributes by 20%, etc. But most importantly, during this 20-second period, Gavels have no cooldown, meaning you can spam Gavel of Light healing and shielding people, or spam Gavel of Grace to restore mana. It's a really strong healing cooldown, especially when the group is taking constant damage such as Barongeddon and Molten Core. So with all that information, how exactly does a Blessings heal? Your main heal will be Gavel of Light, healing and giving allies shields every 4 seconds, so use it on cooldown. You can also enter Dawn before each Gavel, accessing the 10% extra crit buff, as well as gaining Radiance and then pressing Dawn again to exit. And during the cooldown of Gavel, you can use Illumination, Shine, and Daybreak, depending on the severity of the damage on the group. To be honest, with the new update, we are gaining a lot more mana passively, to a point that you can just spam Illuminations in between Gavel of Light, even if there is no damage to the group. And if a tank got a big hit and nearly dying and you need to get a heal really quick, use Solar Invocation Resplendence, making your Illuminations instant cast for 8 seconds. If there is some group or raid damage incoming, enter Dawn and use Paragon, spamming Gavel of Light and giving shields for 20 seconds, and you can even just use Paragon on cooldown because why not? If that's still not enough, you can also use Solar Invigoration, letting your allies heal themselves. And of course, use Solar Invocation Ascension if you are in a raid and there is raid-wide damage. If you are ever low on mana, there are 3 ways to regenerate. First is obviously using Gavel of Grace, regenerating 10% mana each time. You can also use Paragon again and fit a few Gavel of Grace in that period until you're full. And the third way is going into Vow of Grace stance and using Dawnfall on a few targets. For some reason, each tick of damage counts towards the mana regen of the Vow. It will give you 5% of your missing mana each tick per map. Lastly, in terms of positioning, you are a melee healer, mainly due to how most of your spells bounce to nearest allies, as well as Radiance healing players around you. So you do want to be near players. On top of that, because of the Pure Heart talent, melee critical strikes increase your haste and healing done by 5%. You want to chip in as many auto attacks on top of your Gavels to keep this buff up. And so let's talk about stats and gear. Your top stat is going to be Intellect, giving you mana and a bit of crit, but you also gain spell power and haste thanks to your talent. On top of that, having more mana means you bless and Ancient Rites, as well as your Gavel of Grace will regenerate more per tick. After that, spell power and crit are about as important. Crit is useful because of the Redeemer, saving that extra 30% to heal later, as well as more chance of critting with Gavel of Light, maximizing the amount of shield each time. Haste is not really needed, as you are already getting some from talents and buffs. In terms of gear, you want as much plate as possible, and you want to wear a shield. Because, as I said before, the talent Blessed Armor is giving 3 spell power for every 125 armor, so you want to take all the advantage of it. However, if you do wear a 2-hand weapon, it does mean that your Gavel of Light is going to do more damage, and in turn healing and giving bigger shields per H. But because there is a limit to the shield's amount of 20% of the ally's health, it's easy to hit that cap even with a 1-hand weapon. Plus, you will be losing a lot of the spell power from wearing a shield. So yeah, to summarize, Blessing Sun Cleric is a really fun and can be a really simple healer to play, and you can be so reckless with your mana and spam your big heals and then easily regenerating it back. Not to mention the 20-second free spam of Gavel is just about the most ridiculous thing there is. I hope you found this guide useful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And see y'all next time.